Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something we haven't talked about in a while, which is the Power Rangers comics. Been a very busy time for Toku with, Power Rangers news with the official confirmation that there's the reboot thing in development, and then mainly the crazy news about Sentai ending and us getting Project Red. And the comics, to be honest, in general have fallen by the wayside. I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't read any Power Rangers comics since the last issue I covered, which I believe was like issue 7 of Prime or something. I still do really like the comics world and stuff, which I'll touch upon later, but I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. It kind of reminded me of when I was watching Dawn Brothers and Kamen Rider Revice, where it wasn't something necessarily the show was doing, where it's like, oh, I don't like this. It was just, I wasn't into it, and I wanted to sort of be in a better mood when I visited it. So I took a break from like Revice and Dawn Brothers, and then I came back when I was in more of a mood, and I kind of felt like that. Not to mention, especially with the Prime comics, it felt like people weren't that interested in the videos, so I didn't have so much drive to check it out, and I figured like the comics are something I enjoy enough where I really want to catch up and really just be able to enjoy it when I'm in the mood for it. So that's why I haven't covered any of the comics. And then I heard rumblings that it might be ending. I hadn't seen any confirmation until the day I'm recording this. Is coming out a few days after I'm recording this, so I don't know if the situation will change. But Miss Melissa Flores officially confirmed that they will be ending with issue 16, because I believe the catalyst was issue 15 in the synopsis mentioned it being the penultimate issue, and people were like, is that like of the arc or like of the overall comic? And I guess it is ending. And she says like she would have liked to have seen it continue, which makes me think it was planned to go on longer. And to me, I haven't looked at any numbers, but just the impression I get from like the lack of interest in it compared to other arcs, it feels like it probably isn't selling that well, which is a shame, because from what I remember, I might even reread the first 7 when I get back into it. I was really enjoying the world. Like, I liked the suits. I liked the remixed world where it had MMPR and Power Rangers Universe elements remixed, and like bringing in the VR Troopers I thought was really cool. Like, in a lot of ways, it was a lot of the stuff I would have liked to have seen. But it definitely was a slow build, which I don't mind, but I think over the comics, because you're not getting it every week, like if this was a TV show we were getting every week, I think that the slow build-up would be more appreciated, and I think it'll be more appreciated something you read like once it's in a full compendium. But I think that the fact that we were taking so long to get going and it's months between issues, it made the momentum feel really slow, even though there was a lot of stuff I like to see. And it makes me wonder if this is like a microcosm of the franchise overall in terms of like, it's very MMPR-ish, obviously, because we're using the same colors and aesthetic and like Rita and stuff. And I thought it was kind of like the ideal approach, because it's like, okay, the casuals will see this is like an MMPR remix, but it's also something new, and it's pulling in other elements from the Power Rangers and VR Troopers world and stuff that like you don't necessarily need to understand if you're a casual, but you appreciate if you follow it. But it seems like larger audiences, or at least larger comic audiences, only read the MMPR comics. Like, I don't think we ever got back to, or maybe never will get back to, the heights of more people reading the Power Rangers comics like they did during Shattered Grid and Draken. Like, that's the only time I remember I saw other channels and other people talking about it. Like, even people in my local comic shop were legit talking about it, that they read it back during that time. And it felt like then its biggest dip was Beyond the Grid, when they tried to do something non-MMPR. I do think that was always meant to be temporary. I don't think that was meant to take over. Maybe they were testing the waters of like, could we do something different and make it be successful? But I think Beyond the Grid was always meant to be temporary. But it definitely felt like that was a dip in interest. And then again, I never thought we reached the heights, but it seemed like they were able to have an okay performance once they returned to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like proper. And then maybe this was another test and it's not doing well. And that makes me wonder, like I said, if it's a microcosm of what the brand might face if like they try to branch out into something that's not MMPR and then it doesn't work, that they'll probably go back to just MMPR reboots, whether it's animated or live action. We'll have to see. I'm really curious what like the future of the comics is after this. Obviously, we also have varying spin-offs. Like, I don't know if the Turtles one is done either. I decided just to wait for that to be available in a paperback. And much like with Prime, I'm just going to read the whole run and do a review on it. And like I said, I want to be in a space where I'm more like excited to read it and not just like, oh, I got to read it to do a video. But I'll be curious to see, because I haven't heard any rumblings. I don't know what the contract is like with Boom. Maybe the contract is not going to be renewed, and that's part of the reason they're not going to continue it. So I wonder if like one of 3 things could happen. I guess one of 4. The Boom contract could wind down and then we don't do any more comics. Like, they don't try to find another partner or whatever. Or they wind this down as the main series and all we get is like one-offs, like another Turtles crossover, another Godzilla crossover, I don't know, a Transformers crossover. I think that would actually be super cool. Like, I think that would be cool to eventually get on a big screen, or in terms of like if they ever wanted to do that, or like a TV level animated. I would totally welcome an animated movie that was Transformers and Power Rangers, but at least we have to see that in comic form, right? But anyway, like, would that just be the life of the Power Rangers comics for the foreseeable future, is just one-off stories and crossovers? Or are they planning to go back to the main MMPR comics, kind of like they did with Beyond the Grid, where we went back to the main story? Like, it's weird because it feels like this is going to be a rushed ending again, which is what Darkest Hour felt like, even though they stated quite a ways out this is going to be the end. Like, it did have a finality to it, but it also had enough of a ... that I'm like, this is a very weird ending, like, to end on. So I'll be curious if they do go back and actually have a main run MMPR comic. Will, like, the Boom contract end and we make a contract with somebody else? Like, I don't know, Image Comics, I don't know other comic names, but like if somebody else picks it up, then almost certainly if they partnered with somebody else, we would get a quote unquote reboot that would just be MMPR. But if we stick with Boom, would we just kind of pick up where we left off and do a soft reboot and do season 3 stuff? Or would we do a full reboot and do like Boom Studios level storytelling, but we're starting with season 1 again? I don't know. Personally, I mean, in a perfect world, I would like us to do non-MMPR stuff, but I've said before, I'd take a good MMPR story over like mediocre Sentai adaptions or Sentai seasons. Like, everyone's already crying about the reboot being MMPR based, which we don't know for a fact. It's a very good chance, but people are talking like it's been confirmed. But if it is, I'd rather see a really good MMPR reboot over at Disney Plus than I'd like to see a mediocre Boom Boonger adaptation or Go Juger itself, quite frankly. So it's more about the storytelling to me than what it looks like. But like I said, in an ideal world, obviously I'd like to see them do other seasons or just new stuff. You don't even have to use the Sentai designs when you're doing comics. But in terms of if we have to work with an MMPR, I really wouldn't want to see us go back to season 1. Like, to be fair, when the comics first came out, because it was MMPR based, I was dragging my feet getting into it until I found out about the bigger stuff. And then even leading up to it, I'm like, oh, even before Draken arrived, this is really cool to see these characters written with actual depth and stuff. So they very well could go back to season 1 and it could be good storytelling, but that would just feel so backwards. And honestly, my least favorite thing about the MMPR usage is not the MMPR usage. It's the fact that it's almost always season 1 when you have 3 seasons to mine from. So ideally for me, I'd like to see us kind of pick up where we left off, like a soft reboot, doing maybe season 3 leaning stuff, almost back to business as usual. But then, later in event, you can resolve how the Darkest Hour stuff resolved if you want to, but kind of make it a good jumping off point. But I don't like the idea of restarting. Although, to be honest, as much as I like the comics, they're my personal favorite Power Rangers stories. They're the type of stories I like to see out of this world. If we just ended here, I'd be okay. It's kind of like I said in my last video talking about the future of Sentai and PR. I'm like, yeah, if it comes back and it's awesome, I champion that. But if they never come back, that's cool too. I just kind of feel that way about all of them right now. But I'll be very interested to see how it ends. I'll be interested to see where we might pick up. I am going to catch up, like I said. I just said going to, really funny. But let me know in the comments, because I haven't been caught up. I don't care about spoilers. Is Prime in any way hinting that the existence of that world is tied to what happened in Darkest Hour? Because if it is, I'm curious if they'll use the end of Prime to direct to the new refresh if they're doing one. But anyways, guys, until next time, Dawson Rider signing out.